Opening. Why is it? Whoa, why is that happening? Where'd my little thing go? Okay, there we go. Admit all. All right, welcome everybody as you are entering into the space. I'm just going to ask everybody to keep their mics off. Welcome, welcome as everybody comes. Just going to have everybody keep their mics off. Unless you're co-hosting, we're just going to keep the mics off. And I'll keep checking to make sure that everybody's here. Keep checking to see if people are coming in. All right, so as everybody joins, I am just going to cast and call a circle of protection around this entire energy field. Some of us here are oracle channels, and I'm just calling in the most expansive, the highest, the best intentional good for all with this information, with this transmission, with this astrological container. So I'm just going to have everybody here watching, everyone present, whether you're getting the replay or you're here in live time, to just close your eyes for a moment and just let yourself tune in internally, beginning to take some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, letting yourself kind of separate from the busy mind, letting yourself be present right here and now. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. And as you find a comfortable breathing rhythm, I'd like you to envision all around you a bright white light, letting that light be in front of you, behind you, to your left and to your right, above you and below you, all around like an orb, like an egg. As we all connect to the elements and directions all around us, calling in a safe container of protection. As we connect to east air, south fire, west water, north earth, and center spirit. As we call to all guides and guardians, wisest ancestors, ascended masters, angels, and starry beings that love all of us beyond any reason, to be here today, helping and assisting on this journey. And the circle is cast, and we are between the worlds. And what happens between the worlds affects all of the worlds. Let's take one more breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And with your gaze still inward, your eyes still closed, I just want us to really deeply connect into our hearts. You could even put your hand over your heart. Really feeling that unconditional love. As we are all going to send a blessing out to one of our beloved community members, Michael, and his partner, Serena. Just really feeling that deep love, protection, support. And with your next inhale and exhale, we're just going to send this blessing out to them right now. Inhaling through the nose. And with the exhale, I just want you to send your arms up into the air. Sending that blessing, that love out to one of our community members, sending them support, knowing that the journey is individual and also collective. This is the energy of Pisces. We're not in it alone. All right. When you feel ready, your arms can just come back to your side. We can gently begin to blink our eyes back open. And we'll get ready to prepare for this Pisces party. Yay. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. For those of you that don't know me, I'll just go first. We'll do a little introduction of our four hosts. So I'm Verone Bright. I mix astrology, oracle work, Chinese medicine, focused on empowerment, connecting you to your true soul, getting all the patterns of lack out of the way so that you can really bring forth the vibration and frequency you're here to do here on earth. This is how we're changing earth. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Maybe I'll send it over to Maria. You can just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Maria Schumacher. I am a 13 sign true constellational astrologer and practicing witch. I have a little uh, website where I offer some of my esoteric work to help you in your journey of know thyself. That's sort of my mission. I'm here to help you know thyself and know myself at the same time. So I'm taking it with you. Venus-13.com is where you can find more about me, or go on Facebook. I do a daily astrology blog where I just put out the daily chart and talk about what that might land like for you. So that's me.
Cool. And we'll link everything somewhere at some point.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
link everything. Okay. All right, Julie, you want to go?
Somewhere at some point. So Pisces.
So Pisces.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Sherwood, your Best Hopes Wellness Coaching. I too practice 13 sign true constellational astrology. And like Verone and Maria, I also weave that into the things that I do for clients, including as a root cause therapy practitioner. We work on what may stand in your way for you to really realize your true path. And I oftentimes will use the astrology and weave that in. I'm a solution focused wellness coach and also a Reiki Usui master practitioner. And Maria and I co host a little podcast, and we have some things cooking with our Pisces creative imagination energy. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that later. Down to you, my friend River.
Hi there,
Going
everyone.
down just because you're below me on the screen. That's all.
Hello, everyone. My name is River. I too practice 13 sign constellational astrology. This thing has multiple names, but those are a couple that I like. So yeah, that's something I'm really passionate about, especially the stars themselves, the star stories, as well as the constellational stories. I'm really interested in helping people connect with the tangible sky itself and all of its inhabitants, and how that shows up in your thing called a natal chart. So I too have studied witchcraft and occultism, and the tarot I sometimes weave into my readings. Yeah, so that's a little about me. riverofstarsastrology.com. You can find me there.
Cool, cool. I'll make sure where we put the replay, we'll put tags to everybody's socials and websites. So if anybody on this you resonate with, you vibe with, you're like, I must learn more from them, you'll be able to get in touch with them. So, okay, so why have we called you all here today? Why are we having a Pisces party? Well, we are about to really go into a whole bunch of Pisces energy. And Pisces energy can be really interesting to work with. As a Pisces moon myself, the apex of my yod, it's really a focus in my life working with the Piscean energy. And astrology is like weather. It's not an isolated event, it's always continuous. And astrology allows us to look ahead like a weather forecast and say, hey, this energy's coming. What tools do I have? What best way to navigate it? It's not fear inducing. It's just like, if it's raining, you're going to wear a raincoat. If it's Pisces energy, you're going to have some different tools. So we wanted to come together in this kind of like playful Pisces party way to be able to give people tips and tools, forecasts, heads up onto how to work through this energy, navigate this energy so that you can step forward as your best self. Everything's got a yin and a yang, everything's got a dark and a light, everything's got ways to have the crisis and have the breakthrough. So, the more that you're able to be true to yourself, as every single one of us, we do different things, but we all said similar stuff. We've all are, there is a continuity between everything. And so being able to have the tools and know how to show up will make life a lot better and sometimes easier. Let's not make it harder on ourselves. Let's be able to actually show up and do the things that we need to do. And yeah, so we've got a lot of Pisces going on right now and more to come. And maybe I'll pass over the mic to, I don't know if we want to start pulling a chart yet, but can somebody, I'm going to call on a volunteer of one of you three to talk about everything of everything that's about to be in Pisces if it isn't already in Pisces.
Can I?
Yeah.
I want to tag in just on Pisces in general, and
yeah.
I'm happy to shift over to whoever wants to play with what party goers we have showing up here.
Huh?
And I'm assuming that many of the people in the group, and again, please mute your mics if you're not on the hosting platform, please, just so we don't get any ambient or background noise because we are recording. Is the whole idea that I would imagine most of us here are aligned with 13 sign constellational astrology. And for those who may not be, who catch this on the replay, Pisces is one of the reasons that I use, or one of the ways I talk to people about why constellational is so important. And why is that? If you look at the wheel, when we show some charts, you'll be able to see that. And you see the replication of the constellational sizes in the sky. The two largest constellations are Virgo and Pisces, and those are bridge constellations. Aries to Leo is all about the development of the individual, and Libra over to Aquarius is about that individual in the world, and Virgo is the bridge of the individual to the world, and Pisces is the bridge from the world back to all of us as one, getting ready to recycle again. So I think it's ultimately important to understand this Pisces energy is not like we have a party just in Libra. It's really, really important, especially with our North Node, collective North Node there. So I'm going to leave it at that and then shift over probably to Maria, because I know you started this whole party and you put the invitations out and put the place cards on the table.
Well, actually, that it was Verone. Verone came
Ah,
first and says like, "Hey,
We all
anybody?"
did it together.
We did. We Pisces
we
this.
Pisces it.
We
Very.
totally Pisces this. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, great idea. But
Yeah.
I've been harping, thumping, yammering, blabbing about Neptune for a couple of months now, right? Um, and Pisces because um partly because I have a very personal connection to Neptune. So I tend to feel her a little bit more before other people do. What hit it for me was on the winter solstice time. Neptune made its final square because Neptune's been going back and forth, right? It's been going forward in Pisces and then retrograde in Pisces and then forward again in Pisces. And while it's been happening in square to the galactic center. So it just perfected its final square to the galactic center on December 21st. And that was the gong for me that opened up the year of Pisces. Because then from that moment on, everything starts coming her way. Everybody conjoins Neptune at some point, with the exception of Jupiter and Mars. It's coming through Pisces. The climax being, of course, Neptune and Saturn coming together slowly, slowly, slowly in Pisces. So Pisces being the home stars of Neptune, It's for me, you can't have one without the other. So we talk about Pisces, and then we talk about Neptune, who is the literal gateway to Pisces right now. So it all started out on December 21st. And then yesterday we had the second big event, which was Venus conjoined Neptune and the North Node and the Moon in Pisces. So that was, if the solstice wasn't a big enough of an opening, this got everybody's attention. So that's kind of why we're here right now. And then, River, do you have anything to add to the astrology of it all?
I mean, I wonder if we could look at a sky image of, can you bring up the sky image of
Sure,
right
yeah, let me bring
today?
the one
that's
that
for
you sent
today?
me.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got it in a file. Let me just, there's so much we can say when we're talking about all this. Photos.
Yeah, I'm trying to be brief, but I could just like,
I know, and the thing about Pisces is that that's kind of the energy of it. I feel like everything will get cared for. I'm just going to bring up, well, maybe I'll just bring up these charts for now that those are Maria's charts. I have everything in a file. Let's see. Is this it, River?
Um,
How does it look?
n-
That's not it. That's
no,
not
that's not
Pisces.
it. That's not it.
Is that it? You sent me four. I'm just put all.
This is it. This
This
is it.
is okay.
Yeah.
Do I need to zoom in? How does it look?
Yeah, zoom in if you could.
Okay. How does that look?
It looks the same, but for me, but
Okay. Well, we're going to work with what we got right now.
yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to show everyone, if you can see that crescent down there, that's the moon today. The waxing crescent is in Pisces, and Venus that Maria was just talking about. You may have looked up last night if it was clear in your area, and you could see the moon with Venus and Neptune and the North Node. Those Neptune, you'd need a good telescope probably to see, but they were all together last night. Saturn, you can see right there at the cusp of Pisces. So Saturn is going to be moving into Pisces, and that's a big deal. In my opinion, Saturn as the planet of structure really influences the nature of our reality.
Hey River, can we sorry to interrupt you. Can we wait for a second before we dive into Saturn and Pisces? Because I feel like that's so vast. And so we just keep it on like Neptune,
Yes.
Venus, North Node, so we don't jump around. Because I know these concepts I want it to be digestible for people.
Well, I'm just saying, yes, absolutely. But
that's very Saturnian of you, Verone.
I'm about to have the moon on my Saturn, and I'm Saturn. So
Can we just have a little structure to this
well,
flow?
yeah.
yes, I won't go into Saturn yet, but I am going to emphasize it's a big deal. Saturn
we'll talk about
Saturn
it
is ingressing into Pisces. It's a paradigm shift for the next like 3 years that Saturn's going to be here. So but yeah, there's just like this is a long-term transit through Pisces. We have Venus there. Mercury is going to be coming up, joining the party. We've got Chiron in Pisces, and we've got Eris technically in Cetus, but aligned to Pisces. So there's just a lot. They're all going to be interacting. Venus is going to be going retrograde through Pisces. Mercury is going to go retrograde through Pisces. They will be like going back and forth over these planetary energies. So we're going to have an eclipse in Pisces. So the whole eclipse cycle basically is going to be very Piscean, with a partial solar eclipse in the stars of Pisces. So we just have this like real big emphasis. And even today, we've got the moon right now applying to Chiron. in Pisces. So I just kind of wanted to show where we are visually, this corresponding to the live sky today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, even with Pisces, like, so this is the difference so much for me personally between tropical astrology and 13 sign, true live sky, constellational, all the different words that you can use. Is that you're working with the actual constellations, like Julie said, the actual size of them, the magic, the mystery, the mythology, everything that goes with it. And with Pisces, as you can see in this image, hopefully it's like coming through, Pisces is the two fish that are pulling in opposite directions, but they're bound by the same cord. So they're very much like a yin yang energy. They look separate, like they're wanting to do two different things, but they are always going to be connected together. So maybe you even feel like that inside of yourself. Like you got two wolves inside of you and they both are like wanting different things, that kind of nature, or like the masculine and the feminine, or the dark or the light, the yin, the yang. You've these two kind of forces that are they're wanting to transform, two things going in opposite ways, but they're always going to come back together. They're kind of like mutually exclusive. So this energy of Pisces, it can have a lot of breakthrough and breakdown because you really are like pulling apart and coming back together. You're pulling apart and coming back together. And so much like what Julie said of these like gateway constellations, we're in the watery part of the cosmos. We go Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. And, once you cross Pisces, you're back to Aries again. So we're going through this abyss energy. That's really what Pisces is. It's like crossing the abyss, going through the unknown, going through the deep waters. And it is a time to really know thyself. Like, all of us are saying similar things. The only way for you to know is to go deep within. And the only way to expand is to step further, like into the void space. Pisces really is this void space in order to come back to Aries renewed and being like, oh, yes, I am this now. And maybe what you were now isn't what you were a year ago. So it's important to see not only just like the images, but understand some of the mythological parts of it so you can get to the energetics of the entire constellation. Then you can break down and working with the stars. So, I really want to emphasize, I'm just going to like, as the structure keeper, the North Node being there. I'd love to have like a conversation since we just had North Node, Neptune, Venus, that was last night. Like, let's talk about like, what does it mean to have the North Node going through Pisces? That's going to really affect our consciousness. Maybe I'm going to pass the mic over. Somebody wants to talk about that because I feel like it's important. Okay, Maria.
Yeah, I got a little bit to say here. So North Node kind of representing where the undiscovered country, right? Where we're headed, what we don't know yet, what our sort of path of development is, what our trajectory of growth is, as opposed literally to the South Node, which is very much sort of been there, done that. Been there, done that. Comfortable, comfort zone, in as much as we have been there and done that. So we tend to retreat there. Not so scary, perhaps something a little too familiar. North Node can be very scary because we don't know it, right? It represents literally the sum total of all of our fears on some level. So the fact that Neptune is right there in Pisces, we have another layer of breakdown, right? Neptune dissolves things. Right? That's, if you've taken away nothing else, Neptune dissolves things. What needs to be dissolved right now are any barriers to our moving forward into that North Node. So we can have that. We can have that feeling of, okay, I've always been afraid to do this, but right now I'm not. Let's just give it a try.
Well, and I was going to add on to that, the whole concept with the North Node in Pisces, this is a collective evolutionary energy. So you personally may have a North Node in Pisces, and how you've experienced that on a personal level is relevant, but by the same token, this is us as a collective humanity. What are we here to experience as this entity moving into the stars of Pisces and what they call for as an evolutionary path. And one of the things when I studied under Mark Jones for the lunar node energies, one of the things I love that he mentioned, and I take this with me every time, is yes, the South Node is familiar, it's comfortable, it's what we know, but we're not moving away from that just with a singular direction. We have to pull from that in order to have the tools we need to go forward. And I know Verone's going to talk a bit about what tools can we use with all this crazy Pisces energy. And it's rooted right there, in my perspective, in the South Node Virgo and earthbound energy. We need that energy alchemically in order to really synthesize what the North Node in Pisces calls for. So,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that thing that they're separate, it's the root and the crown. You need your roots and you need your branches. You need your feet and you need your head. You need your ancestors and you need your descendants. And so it's not about like one good, one bad. We have to let that go. If you don't have a nutrient rich soil, you ain't going nowhere. And so what kind of ground are you standing on? And Virgo really is, you know, that earth energy, also like deep like servitude to the self, purification, that like goddess work, and being able to have that, and so that you can go into the boundless Pisces. I mean, Pisces really is boundless. It's bringing through something that you didn't even think possible. Pisces really could bring that like limitless possibility through, but you're not going to be people are always like with manifestation, people are like, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's like, well, if you got it, would you even be able to hold on to it? Pisces is like, she's got structure, she's got stability, she's organized, and so you could call in like all your clients and your business and the dream car and the partner and whatever, all the utopia of what you want with like that Pisces could offer. But if there's no place for it to land, if you didn't clean your house, if you didn't like organize it, it's going to slip through your fingers. So I think that that's really the important thing. I mean, there's magic in just the mundane. I just said this yesterday to River, like there's magic in the mundane, getting up, making sure everything's organized, cleaning your house, making your bed, all of that is going to serve you so well with the Pisces energy. If you're like everything's in disarray and there's no place for the flow to go, if you got drains all in your house, the Pisces energy, it's fish. Fish want to swim. You want to have the flow. And if there's blocks in the flow, that's when you get the stagnant energy. That's when you get the Eight of Cups, like what you posted, River, the Eight of Cups kind of like stanky swamp energy. If you don't have a place for the flow, then things will back up. So wherever you're feeling that like, something, there needs to be an opening. There needs to be some reorganization. There needs to be some kind of like taking inventory and analyzing what's going on so that you can open up the flow again, so that you can bring those like limitless possibilities. Because like as a collective, as a whole entire earth, what we've been doing are getting us the same results. This is a 9 year, this is a yin wood snake year. There are cycles that have to end. The same way of approaching things, the same way of thinking about things, it's just going to get you the same. You got something to say, Maria?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's like absolutely everything you said, and it is like think about like Alka-Seltzer, right? The Pisces energy is where you go to assimilate the experiences that you get through the Virgo. I feel like Virgo is where you get experiences, where you learn knowledge and do things and screw up and have successes and et cetera, et cetera. And then Pisces is where that all dissolves, where that all is assimilated and becomes the medicine.
yes.
I love that.
Yes. There was a metaphor yesterday in a class I was taking, another astrology class. Girl has Mercury problems. Um, but we were talking about water. And it was the idea that water can be, and we've talked about this, I think Maria and I definitely have, about the four elements and how they can be constructive and destructive. So water, if it's flooding your basement and the foundation of your house in magnitudes, which I'm sure Verone and River can talk about last October, it can be very destructive. But if you re-channel that energy And we can use that metaphorically for the energy of Pisces, channel it in a way where it's soothing and it's wonderful and it's flowing without the 8 of Cups swampy drains. That's a huge difference. And this goes into the energy potentials. We know what's coming. So we can look at how we as an individual can manage it, as well as come together with others to manage it.
Yeah. River, do you have something to say about the North Node Pisces? I feel like you have some.
I always think of the nodes as the eclipse bringers, the head and tail of the dragon, responsible for our eclipses on Earth. So we're actually completing the eclipse series of Virgo and Pisces this year. So that's significant, kind of reaching the conclusion of what that axis has been wanting to teach us through these powerful, extremely powerful portals of change and transformation. Mentioning Helene came through the last eclipse portal here. So very Pisces, very Neptune. I mean, the flood, so and just that this spring when, the sun will also go through Pisces. So we're getting this huge Piscean emphasis as we're also concluding the eclipses that will really activate this axis.
So kind of like it's like the last kind of like big Piscean push in a way.
Well, yeah, because the North Node is leaving Pisces on its way to Aquarius, and South Node is leaving Virgo on its way to Leo.
Yeah.
While everything else is entering Pisces, these guys, of course, are moving the opposite way. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, now take what I've left you and use it.
Yeah. Did you learn? Guess we'll find out.
Throw a couple retrogrades in there just in case.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just want to reiterate, like, so people understand. So the sun is not in Pisces yet, but it will be in Pisces in April, right? Yes, April.
March.
March.
It might enter. Yeah, I'd have to get someone know the exact dates.
March into April.
Yeah, I got the charts there.
Okay.
Let's see. Yep, Sun conjoins Neptune March 19th. So she enters Pisces before that, obviously, but not too many days. About a week before that.
Okay, so next month, and then we've got Neptune right now, Neptune, North Node, Venus, Moon, Chiron, Eris, Mercury will be there, and then Saturn, Saturn is definitely one that I really wanted to like talk about today.
Yeah.
So it's just
March 12th as far as stellarium goes, when the sun enters Pisces, March 12th.
Yeah.
Go Riva.
Yeah. So this is why we wanted to do this. And of course we can't talk about every single thing today because this is only one talk and this is a lot of different astrological happenings in Pisces, but you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. Pisces will let you feel everything, and also Pisces is a lot about disassociation too. As a Pisces moon, I can feel everything and then I can be like, goodbye, I'm disappearing into the nothingness. So just, but the two fish, just notice, like, it's not right or wrong, good or bad. It's just like having that awareness, like, okay, am I disassociating? Okay, what do I need to feel? Okay, like, what do I need to integrate? What needs to dissolve? Like, maybe I'll put some like little questions at the end of like what people can ask themselves. So I would love to, if everyone feels cool with this, talking about Saturn going into Pisces, because I feel like that's going to be, you want to say something else, Julie?
Yeah, I was going to say, can we rewind a little bit just about Venus Neptune?
Oh, yes.
Venus being or Neptune being the higher octave, if you will, of Venus. Venus, she brings all this beautiful, loving energy, but it's somewhat conditional. It's transactional in some ways, right? Whereas as Neptune, it's all about the unconditional, the universal love. It's the love of all, the higher consciousness. So having the two together, it really invites us to look at how we interact with individuals or groups of people on the human level in an interactive relational way. But how are we taking that further to the cosmos, divine, God, spirit, source, the one, however you look at that? And again, we're back to like sort of what we were talking about with the nodes. It's an interactional alchemical process. So it invites us that as we have that interaction with an individual, am I operating from my highest and best self in understanding we are all one? Even if that person disagrees with me or creates that in me. And one of the mantras I've been really working on, because we do have the polarities of if you look at the glyph of Pisces, the fish, there's a string that holds them together. And if that string isn't in dynamic tension, there's an imbalance. So I invite us to stand on the string, remembering that we are all one. We all come from and go back to the same place. And so as we go through this journey through Pisces and start to see things from different lenses, it's step back for a second, you know, rather than jumping in with all the Martian energy, because Mars is going to go forward pretty soon too. So that's going to create a little bit of fiery momentum. So anyway, done proselytizing off my soapbox.
Well,
No,
and Venus here is like kind of the best time to realize that message that if you want to tap into unity consciousness and that, you know, you really are the same as me, Venus here, especially with Venus and the moon yesterday and the North Node and Lilith opposite, it was just like, yeah, man. It it really is everything. You know, yeah, for sure. This is the best time to realize that unity consciousness. And before the heavy dissolution starts, before the real tension of the Saturn comes,
Right.
I think it is important to lean into that. You know, everything is 30% more beautiful right now. Everybody, you know, I'm in love with everybody just a little bit more. I can feel you just a little bit more. And it is just, yeah.
And Mercury will help us hear the voices too, right?
Shut up,
The messages of the ancestors and the wise ones, the ones that Verone always calls into our circle, the oracles.
the voices. No, sorry.
Well, okay, that's the far end of
Oh,
Neptune.
well.
I mean, Pisces. It's like, come back, come back. But no, I mean, it's like tapping into those who have gone before us, right? What do you have to share with me to help me understand this journey? Because you've gone to it, you know? So Mercury will help us.
Yeah, and it's so, you know, I've been telling so many people, and it doesn't have to be religious at all, but
Mm-mm.
what do you have faith in?
Yeah.
What is something that is bigger than all of this? Whether it's nature for you or God or goddess or universe or source, at some point we're all saying the same dang thing. You know, it's like, what is that thing, that space that is in you, that deeper connection, that guidance that you've always had your whole life? You know, we've all gone through things. Every single person on this planet is going through something, and it's important to remember that, because that will allow you to have compassion. Now, compassion doesn't mean that we're doormats. Compassion doesn't mean that you take disrespect, but also, like, every person on this planet is experiencing something, and when we can step out of that, like, I'm a victim, it's all happening to me, it's going to be important to allow us to, like, open our hearts to, like, higher octaves, so that we can see that, like, most people, you know, they're like just mirroring like what we're feeling inside. And no matter what side of the equation you're standing on, like, we're all here and we're all here together, you know. But there's been a lot of divide energy with, like, you know, the Pluto return to the United States, and like, and for those of you, us in the United States, like, there's a lot of divide energy. So it's going to be important for the ones of us who choose not to do that, to step into that unity, to, like, you know, operate from that, like, higher heart, and understand, like, you know, what Julie said, that we are at some point all one. We all live, we all are born, and we all die, and we've all come from ancestors. And even if our ancestors, like, did some wild crazy things, like, the only reason that we're here is because of them, and there has to be some gratitude. Like, even if you came from me, I came from two people who were like, yo, they were weird, but I also have gratitude, because without them I wouldn't be here, you know. And so you have to accept it all. That is the Pisces energy of the yin, the yang. You have to, like, it's the paradox. You have to accept it all, the parts that you like and the parts that you don't like, and they're all existing together. Everything is never going to be all just bad or all just good, or it's all happening at once. And you've got to find yourself, like Julie said, like on that line
Right.
in between, balancing both and also kind of like accepting both. Through the acceptance is where the change can happen. So it's very spiritual. Like it's spiritual to the next, like Pisces is extremely spiritual, and only you are going to have that key to like your higher power. No one else can do that for you. So
Speaking of key, Chiron.
yeah.
Chiron adds another layer of challenge in that because we're experiencing the wounds of all and the
Yeah.
suffering of all, and we can be over empathic. And people who do bring in that empathic energy, feels the pain of everybody. So sometimes it's hard to kind of rise outside of it, right? I don't want to say rise above, but more
Mhm.
just like seeing it from an observer point of view rather than absorbing it.
Yeah. Yeah. With the Chiron too is like what I'm hearing with Chiron and then Mercury. And then I think River has something to say about Chiron and Eris. And I'll pass the mic to you in a sec. Is like, what stories are we continuously telling ourselves and telling everybody else? Like, if the story, everyone's been victimized at some point in their life. Everyone's gone through some kind of trauma. Everyone's gone through some kind of loss. Like, grief is universal. But are you cursing yourself forever? Like, just because one thing happens to you, is that your identity for the rest of your life? So I would say really be aware of the stories you continuously tell yourself, because like, Pisces being connected to like, even with Cetus underneath and Pegasus is like the unconscious, subconscious, and conscious is like, what imprints are we putting on our life? What are we creating? What are we dreaming and manifesting? Like, do we have responsibility in that. And I think that's a huge part of our soul's path, is like taking responsibility for our power. We're not like these little meek beings. We actually are quite dynamic and powerful. We're connected to God, like, we're a part of it. So, what stories are you speaking aloud? Like, are you like saying everything's horrible all the time? Well, now you are playing an active role in your own suffering and sufferings for others. So, it's not about being in denial or pretending everything's love and light when it's not. It's like, but also the two fish and the paradox, like, really be able to see something and also be like, and I'm choosing to do something else because like I deserve it and so do you. We deserve a better world, and I'm going to take that power forward because we're preparing for Aries to step into our leadership. So like that leader's got to be heart led. That leader can't be all like delusional. So yeah, I feel like River, you got something to say about the Chiron and the Eris piece. I'd love to hear you talk about that.
Well, I will talk about that, but
Mm.
what I was wanting to say
Or
is
anything else.
actually I just want to say that Venus in these stars, these are the stars of Venus's exaltation, and right on the heels of this Mars retrograde, Venus will spend an extended amount of time in these stars. And just this talk about the two fish and the cord, the sacred cord. These stars have been known as the cord place, emphasizing the bonds. And Venus herself, also known as Aphrodite, there's the story of how she and her son Cupid were trying to escape the dragon, the being of chaos, Typhon, and they jumped into the sea tied together, and transformed into fish. So that's one story of the Pisces energy, but they were able to have that bond, have that cord. And like temples to Aphrodite would have fish ponds, the fish being the symbol of fertility and abundance. So I just wanted to like, this is Venus in her exaltation. I mean, obviously that won't mean that challenges won't exist in Pisces, but it's also such a place of creativity with Venus, a place of that fertility and that lusciousness. And so I'm interested in this extended stay.
Could we have a chart? Could we have a chart?
Yes, let me pull
Maybe
up
yeah,
the charts that you
yesterday's.
sent me.
Yeah.
All the charts.
as you're pulling that up, I just touching back on Mercury for half a second in what you mentioned too, Verone, about our stories. You know, we Pisces can also be about addiction and escapism, right? So
Uh-huh.
we can be so
Yes.
addicted to our stories because they're familiar, even if they're painful. So I think this
Mm-mm,
Pisces party is inviting us to look at a new way of
mm-mm.
how we see our story. So it's an opportunity for us to be using that creative imagination that Neptune calls for, and Venus's creative beauty of what can we rewrite about ourselves. So it'll be
Definitely.
interesting.
Maria, am I on the right chart yet?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yay.
Yes, definitely, Julie, all of that. Like,
Mhm.
we don't realize how much power there is in the story, as like we're talking, even going back to the mythologies. Like, I believe that we are the living mythos. Like, we are the living stories. We are the living stories. So, like, the stars are shining down on us. What stories are we telling ourselves? What stories are we telling ourselves? What stories are we saying? And let's, like, how can we change the stories? Like, because you can become so addicted to pain because you're just so
Yes.
used to it. Like, you, like, love and acceptance and beauty can feel very triggering if you came from a childhood where you were like screamed at and abused. Like, I should know that. Like, the minute someone starts loving you, it means you have to love yourself, which can be like some of the most gut wrenching like work that you go through, because you have to go through all of the triggers and pains that got you there. But I welcome people. At some point we won't be able to run from the shadow, and the shadow's not bad, it's just the unknown. So definitely a big time to shift our reality, shift our stories into something that we actually want instead of the crap that we don't.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, and another reason why this Venus thing is so, again, important, as River said and as Julie said, opposite, which, often we'll find the remedy to something opposite, is Lilith at the South Node. And what do I always say about Lilith is that she always knows what isn't working for her. So if we've got those stories that have been repeating and repeating, I am the victim, I am the victim, I am the victim, the right now of it all, with Lilith at the South Node and Venus at the North Node on Neptune in Pisces, is just perfect for that kind of inner work, to finally say, okay, yeah, I know I've identified as a victim of this thing all my life, but is that really working for me? Maybe I want to let that go now.
And
And
I
so
just
it's there, it's in my gestalt, it's in the program. I haven't just like, okay, it doesn't exist anymore, because the South Node doesn't erase things. And like you say, it's not that that's not there anymore, but that, okay, I've had that experience. Let's file that away. And now we're going to something else.
just for sake of recording, because people can't see the chat, I want to read out when there's comments. So Chloe
Yeah.
noted, love this conversation. If it's appropriate to say, I keep getting Venus in Pisces is producing collective themes around belonging. Thanks for the depth on this topic. And that's what you were alluding to, Verone, that belonging, that universal sense of, if somebody says something that is very loving and kind, how do I receive and accept that?
Yeah. And I just also like want to say with the belonging is like, I think a lot of us, we have been programmed and groomed to believe that our self-worth is like in production. Our self-worth is like in what other people think or our opinions. And like Venus and Pisces is your self-worth is the end. Because you breathe, because you're here, because you're on earth, because you're a being, because you're a soul, you are worthy. You don't have to do anything. You don't ask for permission for it. It just is. You just are. And I think that the more of us that can have that like realization of awakening that like we are unconditional love, like we are created from it, and like we are loved and supported beyond measure just because, and I can say, coming from two parents who did not show me that, it's still available to you. And receiving it is like the greatest gift that we can give ourselves, because it is our birthright, and we're here to reclaim our birthright. So I think Pisces gonna break some hearts open so that we can actually receive what we deserve.
Yeah, and very emphasized yesterday with the moon sandwiched right between them,
Mhm.
between Neptune and Venus.
Well, receptive is a great theme of Pisces in general, too.
Yep.
Receptiveness, receiving. And Neptune expands. I mean, not in the same way that Jupiter does, but it in
Effervesces.
a rounder way. Yeah, it expands as it opens up. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maria, did you want to talk about this chart?
I did. I
Okay.
just wanted to point out the Lilith across, and I think we've got a lot of other charts, so we should move on. But yes, I did, and we did.
Okay. Okay. Are we looking at another chart or
Where-
I stop share?
Or what was that March chart? Maybe like
Go back.
maybe
March.
go up to March.
There we go. Oh,
Or no, the
there's
one.
Was
Oh
there,
yeah, this one is
is this it?
the eclipse, but
this
there.
is where
Or-
everybody is
or do
actually
we-
here.
No. Okay, well, so we're stopping here, March 29th.
Yeah. Look at all that Piscean
Yeah.
energy.
This is when the solar eclipse happens,
Yeah, I can
but
do
you can see the
Yeah.
icons
Yeah,
next to Pisces. Just
specifically, this chart is when Mercury conjoins Neptune, but you can see that it happens right after the eclipse.
okay, yeah, that happens on the same day. That's interesting. We're not gonna. Don't expect to know what's real and what's not. If even like what's real is really that tangible itself. But I just think, yeah, don't expect to have a concrete grasp on really
All of this
anything.
energy is going, I guarantee this is, I don't say facts very much because I'm kind of like, I believe in a lot of different perspectives, but everything that's happening here on Earth right now is pushing us into our inner world. Okay. Things are going to get so damn confusing externally that you're going to be like, I don't know what's real and what's not real. Like what's River saying? Like, is that true? Or every side, all these sides of things, everything's going to be like very confusing. You're not going to know what's real and what's not real, who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth on any more on the global stage. And that is essential to get all of us to tune back in to ourselves, to tune back in to our soul so that we can awaken to the part of us that is bigger than, like, you know, being born, getting your social security number, like, you know, getting your job, going to school, all of these stories that we've been told. We have so much more wisdom and knowledge, so much more dynamic power inside of us. And the only way that each one of us is going to find it is through that inner journey. Nobody can do that for you. So like all the like confusion is just going to push us into ourselves, like it, and it can be scary sometimes, but it's essential. It's the only way.
Yeah, I mean, which for most of us is that North Node, right? The one place we've never been is deeply inside ourselves, to the seat of our own power. So it's a collective thing playing out through each one of us individually. If that's not Pisces, I don't know what is, right?
Well, and I think adding to the confusion, we've got, you know, Uranus will have just gone direct now, actually, I think, or pretty darn
Yeah,
close
he
now.
just
Yeah,
went
it
direct.
just went direct. Yeah.
Yeah, so cuspy, you've got, you know, and I talk about cuspy energies being blurry and a little fuzzy and a little bit of, like a radio dial that's not quite in tune. And you've got Mars hitting the cusp of Gemini Cancer, so there's some fuzz there. Of course, Pluto is going to hang out where Pluto hangs out for a little while, cuspy between Sag and Cap. So you've got a lot of this fuzzy energy with some of these other planets, and then you've got this whole party in Pisces fuzzing it up even more. You know, and the other thing I noted is the wide gap. So you go from Saturn to Mercury is in the first 10 degrees, you skip 10 degrees, and then you've got the Sun to Eris in the next 15 degrees. So you've got this gap between the Sun and Mercury on this day. So that's kind of interesting. It's almost like two ends of the constellation.
Yeah, you're getting the full gamut of the Pisces energy, because depending on where the planets or the cosmic bodies are in a constellation, that's another thing that's different in 13 sign astrology, is that depending where it is in the constellation, you're going to get a different flavor of it. But now you're kind of getting like the whole reach of, it's like the entire abyss, the entire reach of Pisces will be activated.
All of it. And River has no doubt noticed that Neptune is on Shiat. Neptune and Mercury conjoin on Shiat. Beta Pegasi.
Exactly.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
And it's exact that day, 1 arc minute difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
For
So
the
we-
eclipse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a
Let's say that again out loud. All
we
of it.
have a sun-moon conjunction. We have a Mercury-Neptune conjunction. All of that conjunct, well, a Mercury-Neptune conjunct Shiat, a major star. How's
Eclipse.
that gonna go?
Eclipse. This is the eclipse chart.
Yeah, it's only going to be partial in my area, but the lunar one is really strong. Like the
Yeah,
full moon in Pisces is eclipse for sure.
So the solar is March 29th, and the lunar, what date is that?
The 15th, 14th, 15th?
15th of March, 14th, 15th. We have the chart of that too?
I think we do.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the sun will be like for the lunar, the sun will be also conjunct another star of Pegasus, Markab.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot of with the Pisces energy, a lot of Pegasus activations, particularly the great square of Pegasus, even where Mercury and Venus station retrograde, they station retrograde at almost the exact same degree, which is conjunct another star of the great square of Pegasus, Alzanib. So yeah, Pegasus, which is like adds to the whole freedom of the mind, boundless like imagination, energy.
Yeah, Pegasus is very quick moving. So like, the working with 13 sign astrology, not only the constellations on the ecliptic, but also, on and off, like north and south of the ecliptic. And Pegasus is very quick moving. I call Pegasus like the bolt bus. So as we're moving through like the dissolve and the confusion and the open-heartedness and the oneness and the unity and the all of it that we've been talking about, that Pegasus energy, it's like the winged horse, And also I'm just gonna notify this, like we're always preparing like this. No astrology is an isolated event. Next year, so we're in a yin wood snake year. Next year is yang fire horse. So yeah, right. Hold on to your panties. Hold on to your panties. So this is like cycles ending, letting go of old stories, things ending, things collapsing, things shedding, really going into that inner world, so that like when it's time to step forward, who your leader is. You don't want your baby to drive the car. You don't want your inner toddler to be like driving your spaceship. You need the like wise one stepping forward. So you better know your wise one. You better meet your wise one now. And that winged horse energy, it's just very fast moving. The Markab, the fixed star Markab, when I work with it, it's like time travel. It's like what dimension are we going in? Like where are you standing? Like how big are you? How small, where are you in proximity to like your environment? If you think that this is all there is, that's all there will be for you. But a lot of us know that there's so much more. Just even look back into ancient times of like all of the technologies that existed that we don't even have access to now. How did we build all of these like amazing like all this architecture, like or even lost worlds like Atlantis is like, how did that exist? This isn't all there is. We've just been told through stories and history that's all. There's history inside of each one of our like bones, blood, DNA, like souls. So don't just take things at face value. Things are like speeding up and slowing down at the same time, with Pisces and Pegasus. So great time to have a practice. I'll talk more about that when we talk about Saturn and Pisces.
Real quick, and then probably a good time to morph into the Saturn and Pisces. I'm noting an interesting square here between the nodal path and the galactic center. So that Pegasus could have us go right into that black hole if we're not careful and use that winged horse in a way that is constructive, right? And understanding who we are individually as a leader within ourselves, but what we bring to that collective to be prepared for it. So, and just briefly, and then I'll, Chloe says, sounds like the year of developing discernment. Yeah,
very much.
Yeah.
very much. Yes. So again, thank you for picking up, Julie, on that. Yeah, and this still all happens in square to the galactic center. The nodal axis is square to the galactic center this year because it's conjunct Neptune, which has been square to the galactic center, right? So yes, 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 yes. And the neat thing about that, again, is just the whole information data bank exchange, right? So that everything, it just increases the level of possibility and I think lubricates the transfer, right?
Mhm.
Whereas, Pisces, as you say, can be a bit fuzzy. Now you sort of connect that to the galactic center and oh, okay, boom, 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 boom. Stuff can start to be a little more precise. And I think that that helps with the discernment
Mhm.
quite a bit, to be honest. So, I would not lean into too much. I know that Neptune is always associated with illusion and delusion.
But
Okay, but, and I'm not going to say and, I'm going to say but. In this case, a wider bank of possibility is exactly what is called for. And that's really what Neptune does, is just opens up the perception so that there's more available for us to discern, right? So that we have more possibilities.
and
Yeah.
I was going to say, the alchemy between the North Node and the South Node is a perfect example of that. Virgo is the stars of discernment,
Right.
sorting the wheat from the chaff. We know how to do this. Now we're going to do it at a different level.
Definitely. And even the galactic center is like that center portal that connects us to other galaxies. All the centers connect to one another. I see the galactic center as a place to release and a place to receive. So, like, again, we're talking about larger evolutionary, like, what are we releasing so that we can receive on a cosmic level? Like, we are cosmic beings. Like, I truly believe that. This ain't my only home. And so, like, really being able to, like, tune into that, and Venus or Neptune itself, even its discovery was bringing in a whole, like, new level of perception. Like, we have to remember a lot of these planets, they weren't all discovered at the same time, and we are still discovering. So, like, you're not going to be able to even see something unless you can perceive it inward. If you don't have that inward perception and belief, you're not going to even be able to see it. So, like, we weren't able to even see Neptune until we were ready to see Neptune. So really, like, this whole perception shift is a huge one, and we're all on different levels. Okay, I just want to emphasize that every single person on this planet is on a different level, and it's not bad or wrong if someone is different than you. We have to be cautious to not overly judge people because we're all on different planes and states, and we have to be careful. Are we, like, mad at people because they're not doing what we're doing? That's not the story we want to have. Like, we're all in different planes, and we're all in different, like, places. And Virgo, she can judge, but she also, like, be careful of judgments,
Right.
So, yeah.
Like Maria says, your Neptune goggles. Get those Neptune
Love goggles. Neptunian love goggles.
Yeah. Don't be naive, but also, like, have discernment, but also, like, try not to be like Judge Judy up in here.
Right.
Should we look at the chart for the lunar eclipse? I kind of want, before we move on to Saturn.
Yeah.
Okay. Just tell me when I'm there, because
yeah.
no, it's not that one.
It's
It's this way. It's the other way.
15th
Other
of
way.
March.
Other way.
No,
Oh,
that's
there's
not
one.
it. No,
You
that's
want it?
February.
I sent her like a zillion charts, you guys. You don't
14th of March.
There
This one?
it is.
Yes.
No, you only told me 6. I'm just.
There it is.
Okay. So this is the lunar eclipse. So the lunar eclipse, and then we have the solar eclipse.
Mhm.
And why is it a lunar eclipse, people?
Go River.
Because the shadow of the earth goes across the moon. The moon and the sun are opposite one another, and the earth is between them. Is that don't make me do celestial mechanics during a
Full moon.
Pisces freaking thing. But I think that's essentially
Whatever.
what
I
it
get
is.
your, yeah, because the sun and the moon are conjoined the nodes.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what makes it an eclipse.
Dragon
Oh, well,
energy.
that as well. That as well.
Big dragon energy.
Yeah, the head and the tail, and you see the sun down there by Saturn. So as Saturn is just ingressing into Pisces, the ingresses are interesting to watch. So I say from now through April, like this ingress time of Saturn into Pisces, I just a lot of time, you'll notice things happening. I mean, that was the case in my experience when Saturn moved into Aquarius, the whole AI explosion, the train derailments, chemical, I mean, trains like make me think of engineering, and Saturn in Aquarius is very much like science and engineering.
It was even the breakdown of our
chemicals,
old astrology group.
burning. Yeah, our old
Yep.
astrology group. But I'm just suggesting to just pay attention to the Pisces significations, especially with these eclipses, but also Saturn ingressing, like what kind of things are going to be happening, because I think Saturn really like encapsulates the kind of nature of our reality when Saturn moves through particular sets of stars, and Pisces being a large constellation. I wrote some dates down as far as the stellarium dates, which is a free sky program anyone can use.
Strongly encouraged. Connects you to the sky.
Yes. Now I'm maybe where did I write it down? Pisces, but
It's all good. Well, remember this.
I know that it's about 3 years. I think it's like April 19th, according to Stellarium, through May of 2028, to my memory. I wrote it down somewhere, but I think that's pretty accurate to my memory. And so yeah, approximately 3 years, give or take, how you do a chart, how you cast the chart. But this is a pretty lengthy stay for Saturn in Pisces, and the significations are gonna start coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy is like we're already starting to feel it now because we're kind of already in this ingress because it's a long stay. And depending on what systems you use and how you cast a chart, like, you know, because this chart is March 14th and you can see it there. But Stellarium says April. You're already probably starting to feel it. And you'll definitely feel it by like next month and definitely by April.
Mm-hmm. All right. What other charts do we got?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I definitely want to like talk about the Saturn in Pisces. I don't know if there is a chart that we
Let's
have
talk
exactly.
about that right
This is
here,
fine.
because this
Okay.
is pretty new. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, for me, I'm solution based. That's just how I approach life. I'm extremely emotional, but also very solution based. And so we can talk about these cosmic concepts and like all of it all day, but like, how does this apply to your daily life? Like, what the hell are you going to do? Like, how are you showing up for this? And uh, as a Pisces moon person, and I'm about to have Saturn join my moon, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I feel like I have a lot to say about this. So Pisces and Saturn, the best way I feel for all of us to use it has to do with like, what are you devoted to? And how can that influence your discipline to that devotion? So back to like spirit work, connecting into, you know, your higher power, your faith. Yeah, the question, will this be destabilizing? Well, it could be. Anything could be destabilized, you know, anything could throw you off. And it's important. This is why, you know, Saturn has to do with practice, it's longevity, discipline, devotion, like the word responsibility, maturity, all the words that like all of us are like cringing about. We need to have a new perspective about it. Having discipline, devotion, maturity, responsibility, these are awesome. These are how we can step into our power more. This is how we can become more of ourselves. And it's not just a one and done. It's a daily thing. You know, it's not just like I'm ascended and I'm enlightened, the end. That's not how it works. You know, you have to like, I
Yeah.
hear people doing that where they're like, I've healed everything. I'm like, okay, I'll
No.
see where you're at in 5 years. Okay. And so you've got to like wake up, do your journaling, do your breath work. Like the magic is in the mundane, like really doing your practices every day. Now, not too much. Like, don't become addicted to the practices because it can, you know, but really showing up for yourself every day. Movement's important. Okay, I'm gonna move my body. I'm gonna journal. I'm gonna like have some organization and some discipline. And then with Pisces, I'm gonna release the rest because Pisces is about surrender. What can you control and what can't you control? I can control drinking out of this cup right now. I can control taking a nap if I'm tired. I can control eating if I'm hungry. Can I control like all the world politics? Can I control even what my neighbor's doing? No, you don't want to. If you try to over control Pisces, Saturn and Pisces, that is when you're going to be destabilized because that's going to exhaust you, that's going to spin you, and that's going to constrict you. And Pisces wants us to expand. You're not going to be to expand if you're overly constricted. So give it the job that it deserves, like being able to be dedicated to your path, stay in your own lane, know what's in your control and know what's out of your control so that you do not become destabilized. And if you feel destabilized, if you feel like, oh shit, like bring it back to the basics. Like, don't let it be complicated. Make a note on your refrigerator that says, like, what makes me feel good? Drinking a glass of water, doing 10 minutes of breath work, journaling, working on art, like whatever it is, so that you can see it and say, okay, let me do these things. And then check back in with yourself. Okay, I did the breath work, I tuned in with myself, I journaled, I went on a walk. Now how do I feel? Know these things. You gonna say
And
something, Julie?
yeah, I was going to say, and Venus can help with that because she also rules the five senses, right? She's the lady of all your senses. So you get that structural feel if you can go taste something, touch something, smell something, hear something, just get your hands in the dirt in the garden, go listen to some music because it can bring a little bit of foundation to that effervescence that Neptune can bring. And I had this image too of trying to catch water in your hands, right? Good luck.
Yeah.
You can't. But if you bring a jar or a cup, you have a little structure, but you still have the flow of the
That's it.
water.
You know, those daily routines that we can
Mhm.
be in charge of. I wake up, I put my feet on the ground, I say thank you. I make coffee, I feed the cat, I brush my teeth. They may seem like little things, but those
Mm-mm.
morning rituals, when you feel destabilized in every other part of your life, leaning into those little things that I do this every day. And it may not even be at the same time, but I wake up and yada da 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 is how my morning goes. Can really help you, at
Yeah,
least from a Neptune heavy person.
same from
Major.
another Neptune heavy person and Pisces person. If you find habits and rituals that are not helping you, say you're like scrolling on your phone forever, or you're like you need to move around but instead you're like isolating and sitting in your house, or you're like doom scrolling your mind about all the horrible things that can happen, yeah, that's going to make you not feel good. And also we have the choice to change our life in an instant. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. You don't have to wait for 5 years. You can say, I choose right now to do something else. I'm choosing to use my energy in a different way. You don't have to wait for it. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you you can. You can do it right now. You could be in a horrible mood. You could feel awful and be like, okay, I'm going to do something else to shift my energy. Like none of these things are us. They're all temporary. Like all emotions are energy in motion. You don't have to cling on to it and give it an identity. Back to the story piece. Don't identify too much with anything. That's kind of the detachment so that you can be in the flow. You know, I loved that Chloe said, like, you know, chopping wood, you know, having compassion and chopping wood, because I do think that we have an opportunity to really change our lives. You know, are we like doing things that are good for us and preparing? You know, Saturn is longevity, like
Right.
preparing like for the future and like setting up the life that we desire, or are we like wasting our time away in the delusion illusion, like, you know, spinning out? That could happen, you know. So it's a choice. We all have a choice, and that's where the maturity piece comes in with Saturn. Like, what do you choose? And it's going to be very important to make those choices. If you make a choice that you're like, oh, I wish that maybe I shouldn't have done that, you know, just be like, okay, well, just change it. Don't make it
It's
into this big old
Pisces.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because Pisces, and that's a beautiful way to use that Pisces energy to change on a dime, right?
Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
Saturn just ingressing, it's allowing us to dissolve the structure that doesn't work and be fluid in the rebuild of it, right? That's the next
Yes.
in Saturn conversation that's going to come up next February, I believe, when they actually literally come together. This opportunity before they actually conjoin really in an
Perfectly.
orb,
Yes.
you know, it's an
Mhm.
opportunity to be fluid with the boundaries, allow to dissolve what no longer works, change that story, be ready to create a new structure. And as Verone said, by going within, get that story from inside yourself first, and then create that structure and be fluid with it. It's because if you're not, it's going to be fluid for you regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. River, I feel like you had something to say about
Yes.
the especially the reality part. Yeah, I'm just gonna pass the mic to you, River.
Well, I know I think I just want to give some love to what I didn't want to talk about earlier in
Mhm.
Chiron and Eris. That's going to be for all of us. So just to skip over there because we're nearing time.
We're good. Is this a
Just,
good chart to keep up?
yeah, just keep it
Okay.
up. It's fine. Chiron, the oracle, the healer, the wound as well, the pain, the collective, that I think Julie articulated that really well of Chiron and Pisces. Maybe you could, do you remember what you said about
Yeah,
that?
it's kind of like the collective suffering, right? We feel everybody else's pain as ours, and if we get too absorbed in it, sort of like Verone said, the doom scrolling, right? Then we bring that pain as ours as an absorber instead of an observer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the
Yeah.
discernment piece too. So, and by the way, Eris, for those who don't know, she takes her sweet ass time getting around a whole zodiacal chart, 500
Yeah.
years. So she's here for a while.
And conjunctions to Eris are quite significant because of that
Mm-hmm.
that slow movement. I think it's a significant conjunction to point out, and even pinging back to Saturn in Pisces, which I think on one hand has the potential to feel like you're talking about doom scrolling and this sort of thing, but like kind of a dark night quality through it could be through the swamps of emotion of Pisces. And then the other side is that like potential is like all the spiritual practice and whatnot. But I think this kind of connects to Chiron there. Chiron too being quite a potentially spiritual influence. Exploring the very cosmic realm of Pisces in the types of healing that you may be engaged with and whatnot. But the conjunction of Eris, back to that, is Eris is named a dwarf planet named for the goddess of chaos, discord, strife. So, and if Chiron is the healer, the oracle, also the health of a nation, for the United States, we're also having our Chiron return that has come after the Pluto return. So, so really like especially significant in the United States as far as our nation goes and the concept of health, perhaps. And Eris is like, she's like the one that, she comes to the party uninvited. She disrupts. There's like disruption, but that disruption is, in my opinion, truly to bring a balance that wasn't there before, an integrity that wasn't there before through saying the quiet part out loud.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this will be, for us all on planet Earth, this conjunction will be happening.
and all these planets are going to cross over her at some point. So
Mhm.
she's been in the party house for a while.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to cross over her, and she's going to give that kick to each one as they leave, you know? It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And on a personal level, maybe it's like stuff that, we're in this 9 year of completion, of detoxification, of shedding what we don't need.
Like,
Maybe Eris's influence on a personal level could be like investigating what really needs healing, what we need to bring to completion, to kind of go into those cracks. And like Eris is like, time to acknowledge this, time to acknowledge, where these blocks have been. Again, Pisces, that emotional landscape, the Eight of Cups, that can be that exploration into the interior spaces, into the psyche, but it can also manifest as like the blockages in the swamp. So I just feel like Eris is here to just shake things up around health, around healing, for ourselves, for the collective.
and Tom Jacobs, who was, he has since passed very recently, as a matter of fact, did a lot on Chiron. And I love his three markers of it. So Chiron first, you don't know what the wound is until you know what the wound is. So the first step is understanding the wound, right? And then the next step is then when we identify, we go back to the story, I am, and then whatever the wound is, it becomes our identity. Once we can transcend, transmute, and transform that, then we can have a level of compassion for those who are experiencing that same wound. So it's like a three-part process. So now take that and overlay that over the collective going through this. We've all identified some sort of a wounding. We look at all the talk about trauma work, intense healing work, root cause work, and getting into the deeper structures of our pain. And then now we're all identifying with that, I think, for the most part. Now, how do we transcend that? How do we come over and beyond that? And I think Eris is the one that's going to invite us to do that, right? See the greater truth. She's going to be the apple cart that gets upended for us to actually find the apples that work for us. Yeah, metaphorical things. Chloe, would you say Eris, Chiron, and Pisces conjunction relates to our relationship we have with our wounds from connection? Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I think you just said that pretty much as she was typing it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love everything that was just said. It like, so if you say like I am, like pain, 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 wound, 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 story, 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 what you're doing is just like putting that past back into the present and the future, putting the past. But I will say that pain wants to be acknowledged. Right. Eris, acknowledgement. So it's not just about like, no, it never happened to me, I'm fine, everything's okay. No, that doesn't work either, because you can't be in denial. It's going to have to be acknowledged. So there's going to have to be a part of you that says, yes, I went through this. Yes, it sucked. Yes, it hurt. No, it was not okay. And no, I will not allow it again. And now I'm going to be able to separate myself from it, because it wasn't me to begin with. Like, this is why it's so important to work on your repressed, stagnant emotions. Do not be a graveyard for the repressed, stagnant emotions. We all have them. Every person on this planet has them, because like when you're a child and you go through something and you're not able to emote it and you're not able to process it, you internalize it, and it will stay internal until it comes to the surface. And a lot of times what happens when it comes back to the surface, you feel like something bad is happening. And that's when people like either like want to run from it or overly identify with it. And so it's important when it's coming to the surface, it wants to be seen and acknowledged so that it can continue to come out. Like we're going from DNA all the way out to the cosmos. This is how we change our DNA stories. This is how we literally heal our bloodlines, is by acknowledging it, and then also be like, okay, well, that's not actually true for me anymore. Like that happened then. Maybe that was true then, but it's not true now. And I can separate it and I can let it go. And that's how we can have compassion for even people who did horrible shit to us. It doesn't mean you have to be BFFs with them, but you are allowed, you can have forgiveness and compassion, because it's not in you anymore. You're not aligned to it. Whatever you're aligned to, you will call to you. If you're aligned to like lack and shame and hate and whatever, you're going to find that over and over, because y'all are vibrating the same. But the more that you're able to purge this out of your body, Chiron and Eris is going to make us like heal things and have really intense like realizations. Then you can like release it, and we can release it out of the galactic center and hopefully release it out of our whole like, Milky Way galaxy, so that we do not have to experience it anymore because we're over it. Like our solar system is over it, like these are big concepts, and then we can bring something new in, things that we've never even realized were possible. I really think like that's the part that excites me, is like this limitless possibility of like shit, like okay, yeah, we're used to like Taco Bell and Arby's and working our 9 to 5s or whatever, but like what if, there's so much more, and I'm excited for that piece. Like you got to make space for the
Right.
new thing. If there's no space for it, it won't be able to come in, it won't be able to land. Back to like the north and south node, like you can call it all in, but if there's no place for it to land, it's just going to slip through your fingers. It's not going to be able to like come in. So, whatever, I would say that like, if you, everywhere you turn, you're having the same kind of pain, well, don't run away from it. Face it, face the fear, face the pain. Ask yourself like, okay, there's a part of me that feels this way, and accept that part, so that you can be like, okay, well, did I deserve it? No. Am I going to allow it now? No. Okay, well, that part then can be integrated, and you don't have to experience that for the rest of your life. We're not here to like beat ourselves up forever and ever and ever. Like it's just not it.
No coincidence, it's a snake year. Shed that skin, baby. Maria,
Right.
Yes.
Maria.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out this sort of lovely sphinx effect of Neptune at one end of Pisces and Eris at the other end, right? You've got to go through the Neptune gateway to enter, and that opens up everything in a beautiful sort of alchemy of potential. Like, okay, we're dissolving boundaries, we're opening everything up, we're looking at things, we've got all of the possibility. And then once we've gone through all of that, then there's Eris at the other end with the, all right, what's the wisdom that we can take away from this, so that when we move into Aries and start, everything becomes new. Like you said way earlier, Verone, that we are heart-centered by that time, that we do have not only a space for the new to land in, but the wisdom to make the best use of it.
Yes. I'm going to read the last comment
Yes.
from Chloe as we wind up. What she gets as a download is Eris is activating a new vantage point for us to see our wounds from, so we can ascend to a higher level point of view of understanding through the revisiting of old experiences in a new way. Like being in our parents' shoes to understand why they did what they did, etc. It breeds opportunity for forgiveness. Yes, and that goes right to the gatekeepers, as you were saying, Maria. Neptune allows us to expand into the possibilities of seeing things from a different point of view, and Eris closes that out as we leave.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
just want to reiterate that like forgiveness happens on your terms, and
Yep.
forgiveness is more about forgiving yourself. And forgiveness also does not mean you have to reconnect with people. Okay. Like I think there's a lot of like misconceptions when it comes to forgiveness. Like forgiveness is on your terms. You do
Right.
it when you're ready. It's more about the forgiveness of yourself. And it never means that you have to reach back out or reconnect. Like I can forgive my parents doesn't mean I'm phoning them up. Okay. You still have to have discernment and boundaries. And just because you're in that place doesn't mean other people are. It
Right.
is a personal journey, and only you are going to know what's right for you. So, like, I just think that it's very important, because there's a lot of information out there that's like, did you forgive? I was like, well, did you get mad first? Did you like scream and shout first? Because all of those are important too. Every part is important. And no step needs to be overlooked or bypassed. Back to like the Saturn in Pisces is like step by step by step by step. That's how we like build this new reality and this new foundation. So just wanted to say that.
And I'm going to tag it off, and we'll probably wind up here, is Mars moving back into Cancer is going to allow for that. It's going to give
Yeah.
us that fire behind the expression of the emotions that need to come out, so that we can take care of ourselves. Because if we don't bring the best selves of ourselves to the table, then our collective has no chance of healing. Like Verone said, what we put out there is what we bring in. And if all of us continue this dynamic experience in a direction that moves us dynamically toward the North Node, it's going to be this, but it's going to eventually get there, right? then we have a greater chance of healing all the Chiron wounds of our collective humanity. So
Yeah. Yeah, this is a long game. So take care of yourself. Don't burn yourself out. Like check in with yourself. It doesn't really matter what other people are doing. Only you are going to know what's right for you. You're going to know if you're hungry. You're going to know if you're tired. Like that's the maturity. You got to take care of your like inner baby. You know, you got to take care of your inner self in order to be able to be your outer self. If you got no gas in the tank, you're not going to be able to go. So really pay attention to that, so that you can have everything you need to be able to go forward.
and I think there's a number of us here that can offer different ways to support you in that journey, whether it be a note on Rad Astro, engaging in some of our services. And I have to do a little side shout out. Ms. Maria, tell us about your Neptune readings because I think this is very timely and very important.
Oh,
I really mean that.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I came up with this personal Neptune reading. Like Neptune and you, where we look at Neptune in your natal chart and then go on to sort of look at Neptune over the next few months at a few key dates that we looked at here, right? You know, conjunct Venus, conjunct Mercury, when Saturn makes a real close approach. So,
Hit her up.
yeah, if you would like to know how this sort of thing is going to be affecting you personally through your relationship with Neptune, reach out to me. I got a reading for that.
He does.
yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. We actually did really good on time. I feel like we kind of just naturally, I was like, I want it to be 90 minutes. And so,
Pretty darn close.
does anybody, I feel like if anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat. I don't see anything else. Does anybody have anything else to say of us four? River, you have
we
anything?
need to do this again. I think there's some comments about us doing it again. So I would be open to it so long as, you know, our
Yeah.
time allows for it, of course.
Oh yeah, this is good. This is like I have a lot of connections just by doing this, having these conversations with different people because astrology is so vast.
And
River,
Maria and I
are you sure we covered Saturn conjunct Neptune enough?
I mean, no, there's certainly
so
more.
we have to do another one.
But this is going to be like a ongoing transit. You know, they don't perfect till next year, but they get quite close this year. So we'll be feeling that influence, no
Yeah.
doubt. So
In July, for sure.
a lot more to discuss for sure.
Well, maybe as the big party starts to really grow strong in March, we can all come together again and have a little convo. So
Yeah.
Yes, I'm into it. I love doing
Right.
these. Okay, so I'm gonna close the circle down and then we'll call it good. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
All right. So everyone here who joined in live time, or if you're watching the replay, we'll just close our eyes once again. Take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And we're just going to thank all of the guides and guardians, wisest ancestors, ascended masters, angels, and starry beings that were here today that love all of us beyond any reason. I'm just going to thank them and let them go back to every place they need to go. And we're going to thank all elements and directions for holding a safe container of protection, connecting to center spirit, north earth, west water, south fire, and east air. As we open the circle, our hearts can remain connected. And I'm just going to send blessings to everyone out there who watched this, and we can let our eyes blink back open, sending love to everyone out here. Thank you so much for watching. We will be doing this again. I'll post links so you can get in touch with anybody if you want to. And yeah, I guess signing out of the Pisces party.
All right.
All right.
Dissolve.
Yeah, go forth and dissolve. Is that what you said? That needs to be a shirt. Go forth and dissolve. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you all later. Okay, bye.